I'm going to go over a few things for those of you who might have been knitting and now you're running into some issues. First of all, this is a large project, and to keep the weight off my hands, I am actually using a circular needle, but I'm using it to do flat knitting. So it's just as though I had sticks. So if you see it moving around, don't worry about that. One of the classic things that I find that beginners get confused about how to deal with is this end stitch becomes unknitted. What happens is the working yarn drops off or drops out, and you'll come to get your work and you'll go, what do I do? It's sitting there, the working strand's coming out of the next to last stitch and not out of the last stitch. Not really that big of a deal. All you do is turn the work like this and slip that stitch back over to this needle. Now the working strand is coming out of the last stitch on this needle, and you're just going to knit or purl. In my case, I'm knitting them. I'm just going to knit the stitch like always, and now it's coming out of the last stitch just like I want it to. So that's how you deal with that. Now, one of the other things that happens is that you grab it wrong, it comes off in the bag, or, you know, dog, cat, loved one pulls on it in the wrong way, and off comes a whole bunch of stitches. And it's like, oh, panic. What do I do? What do I do? Now, you do want to notice how your stitches are mounted on the needle when things are good. Pay attention to that. Look at that over. Because that's part of how to get it back to how you can go forward, is you've got to get it all back on there. So what you want to do is actually lay it on the table and get calm, and then you can go back and start working on it. And what I'm going to do is first capture every loop that I can find, whether it's on this row or whatever. I just need to capture everything. I'm not going to worry about turning it however it's presenting itself, and I am deliberately putting some of them on funny just because I want to show you what happens. So grab whatever loop you can find. Doesn't matter. Now see, some of these became unknitted. I'm just going to grab every loop, no matter what. And I'm going to look on the back, make sure there's no loops back here that I didn't capture, or here. If you can only capture, you know, half of the yarn, like of the half of the plies of a stitch, grab what you can. Now that I've got it anchored, because I've grabbed them all, and you can sort of tell because in my case, my stitches are actually all lined up, and they're all, you know, lined up the same way. Other styles of knitting, like combination knitters and things like that, they might not have that be the case. So that's why you need to know what your knitting looks like. I do sort of a classic American or Western Europe style of knitting, that my stitches are always mounted so the front leg is closer to the tip than the back leg. So now I'm going to look at this. Okay, so these two here are actually not knitted, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to go across here, and I'm going to look at how each one of these stitches is mounted. So for me, this leg closer, okay, so that one is okay. This one's a mess. This one I only got a little piece of it. It's also on the stitch backwards, so I can go in here and find the whole thing and then get it all cleaned up. But see, I'm doing this with everything anchored, and so I'm not going to get extra stitches dropping. Now that I've got it cleaned up and it's a full loop, it's actually, I'm going to go in here and turn it around so that it's facing the same, with this front leg closer to the tip as all my other stitches. So going along, and what I'm doing is just checking to make sure that everybody's lined up to where they fell off. And now that I'm up to the point of where I was doing the repair, I'm going to go back. So basically, it's like anything else you clean up in your life. You take what you can fix and fix that, and then keep going at it until you've got everything repaired. Now, here's where the working strand ended. So it's right here, and these two stitches actually aren't knitted. So what I need to do is actually turn the work like you would if you were, sorry, going off camera there a little. I want to turn the work so that these 2 unworked stitches are now back on this needle, working strands coming out of this needle, and and they're facing the right way. So now I can just go in and knit those 2. And this one's all turned around, so I've got to figure out. Yeah, there we go. And now, because now I've got everything back on, everything's knitted, and I'm ready to go on with my knitting without having to worry about it. If I did have a mess, like say I had a stitch back here that when I was doing it, it did drop. I'm going to deliberately drop one of these out as though I didn't capture it right. So this stitch here is now got a drop strand on the back. Okay, so say when I had put them on, one of them, you can see the bar across here, I hope. It's a little bit dark, but see it? This stitch here was not worked. So like everybody else is on, say, row 50. This one right here is still back on row 49. It got unknit from its row 50. The easiest way to fix that, I've captured all the loops. I'm not going to get more running behind. I'm just going to go along and I'm going to do what I call tinking. And I'm going to do a separate video on that, but basically you're going to unknit by poking into the loop and taking out the working strand. So I'm going into the loop that the working strand went into just a moment ago. And see this? When I went to this one, that yarn jumped, and this stitch didn't have anything needed to be pulled out of it. Well, now if I go like this, the working strand is coming out of this last stitch here, and I can go forward. So like I said, I'll do a separate video on just this tink methodology, but that gives you some idea of how to proceed and to get all your knitting back on your needle so that you can go forward with your project. I recommend you do this on a swatch and not on your actual project, because you might run into some snags, and it's a lot easier to do it when you're not frantic about it, and develop that. And then you'll be ready and you can always, if you haven't done it in a while, go do a swatch, drop it off the thing, practice it a little bit, and then go and try and do, just set the one that needs repair of your real work, the scarf you've been working on for a month. Go set it on a table where it can't be bothered. Go practice on a little swatch doing this thing, and then go and deal with your scarf that has fallen off the needles. Thank you.